Hi there, Ryan White here for highpointmusic.com.au. In today's video we're going to learn how to build a versatile anywhere, anytime template patch on the Line 6 Helix LT. Okay, let's jump in and do a quick little demo of the patch that we're going to learn how to build today. So I'm starting off on my neck pickup. The first snapshot here gives us a nice clean tone. Okay, we switch that up to our bridge pickup. Okay, so that's our clean tone that we're going to be working with today. On the second snapshot, we've got a nice little overdriven sound. Okay, on the third one, if we come in here, okay, we've got a bit of modulation. And then on the fourth one, we've got a very heavy lead sound, high gains. Okay, with a fuzz setting there, so that's a demo of our patch. Let's jump in and start looking at how we're going to put the signal path together so you can start building these snapshots in your unit. Okay, so the first patch we're going to put on our signal path is a compressor. So we come in here, push that button, we want to come across into the dynamics, push that, just selecting a mono one here today and coming down and selecting the LA Studio comp. So we get into that menu by navigating the joystick. If you want to learn more about how to navigate the front panel of the Helix LT, I strongly suggest you check out the quick start video I've done already on this topic, which goes into far more depth on this. I'll put that in the description below. Okay, so once you've got that, the second one we want to place in our signal path is our distortion, so the bighorn fuzz in the distortion folder. Moving across, we then want to put the distortion pedal, which is a tube screamer 808 there, so scream 808. Moving across then, we want to put our modulation in, so I'm just using a script mod phase. You might sub that out for a chorus if that's more to your liking, but the script mod phase is a nice one to start with. Then you can put your wah in there, which is the Weeper wah I've gone with. The all-important amp I'm using is the Play Cater Clean, so it's very important that when you select your amp block that you don't select it with a cab or with the preamp. We just want the amp. And the reason why is because on the next block we're going to be using the impulse responses as opposed to the cab. This gives us a lot more flexibility when setting up our snapshots. Moving across, we're going to use a transistor tape delay down there, and then the last two we want to put in our signal path is the reverb chamber. That's in the legacy effects there, so the chamber reverb, and then last but not least we want to put our 6 switch looper on the board there. Okay, once we've got our effect blocks laid out on the unit, then we need to come in and set up our snapshot mode. So we come up here and push the menu button, global settings, and then we want to make sure we've got the foot switch icon selected on the screen. Come down and set the icon here, or the control, to stop/snap. This sets up our 4 snapshots along the bottom and 4 assignable pedals on the top there. Once you've done that, we hit our amp button to come back to the home screen, and then we're going to start setting up our first snapshot, which was our clean tone, and we're just going to use the bypass button here. So I want you to come along to your bighorn fuzz, turn that off, your next tube screamer 808, turn that off, turn the modulation off, turn the wire off. So you've got the studio compressor, the amp, the impulse response, the delay, and then the reverb. So with this patch here, this is setting up the template in which we build the remaining snapshots from. So let's go in and set up our settings here. So for the dynamic LA Studio comp, we've got the peak reduction at 7.8, the gain set to 6.2, the type of compression at compressed, emphasis at 0.9, we have 100% mix and a 0 dB level. So we move across to the all-important amp setting on the Play Cater Clean, and with this one we've got the drive at 1.9, the bass at 6, the treble at 7, the presence at 2.5, the master at 9.1, the channel volume at 8.2. We use our page buttons here to navigate to the left. The brightness is set to 2, the sag is set to 5.0 along with the ripple, the bias and the bias X, which are also set to 5.0. Now where things get really interesting or really quite cool is using the impulse response as opposed to a speaker cab, because what the impulse response allows us to do is set up a designated cabinet per snapshot. You can't do that with speaker cabs. So I've gone ahead and set up a Mesa Boogie 2x12 in the impulse response there. So depending on what impulse response pack you have, any 2x12 will do the job here. But with our low cut, I've got that set to 40 Hertz. The high cut is set to 19.7. The mix is at 100%, and then the level is at negative 17.5. We then jump across to our transistor tape. I've got the time set up at 486 milliseconds, so quite short. The feedback's at 36. The wow flutter is at 3.6. The mix is quite low at 14%. The level and headroom are both at 0 dB, and then the trails are off on this one. And then lastly, what we're going to do, come down to our chamber reverb. The decay is at 4.9, the pre-delay is at 32 milliseconds, the low cut's at 93 Hertz, high cut's at 6.6, mix is at 50%, and then the level is at 0. Okay, so once we've done that, we've got our clean tone set up, then we're going to jump back into the unit, and then we're going to push this button here, B, and then we're going to start setting up our overdriven snapshot. So what I've done here is I've used the bypass function to turn the distortion scream 808 on, and let's jump in and check it out here. So we've got our gain set to 8.0, our tone set to 6.6, and our levels at 6.7. Now the way that you can go in and edit the individual settings per snapshot, I've made a video on this topic. I'll put that in the links below as well. But it's really simple. What you do is you get your parameter. So for example, I'll show you how to turn it on with our tone, because I've already turned on with our gain. You push the knob in and start turning it until these white brackets appear around the parameter. That means that you can set the individual setting on this particular snapshot. So for example, if we get to another setting here on a different snapshot and wanted to change it, you can push it and then you can set it to a different setting on that particular snapshot. But that's how you can fine-tune your sounds per snapshot. Okay, so we've set our tube screamer how we like it, then we're going to come across to the impulse response. So the cool thing about the impulse response is I've changed it from a 2x12, so I've set it up for a 4x12 here. Okay, so we've got that big, thick quad box sound. So we've set up our distorted, overdriven sound. We've just turned on the tube screamer and changed our impulse response to a 4x12 cap. Alright, so it's really simple how we set up our modulation setting. We come back in, we push the third button under the letter C, and then you can see on the panel here the tube screamer is turned off and the modulation script mod phase is turned on. The rate of the mod phaser is at 4.3, the mix is at 95%, and the level is at 1. Okay, so +1 there. Another interesting point, if we come back to our impulse response, you can turn that back by using the IR select to the Mesa 2x12, or depending what 2x12 package or impulse response package you are running. Okay, so lastly we just need to go in to set up our high gain sound using the fuzz. Okay, so we come down here, we make sure we've got the snapshot we want selected, then we come across and we just take the bighorn fuzz, you turn that on using the bypass if it's not already enabled, and then you've got the sustain at 5.0, the tone at 3.6, the level at 5.0. Then we move across to the impulse response and make sure we have the Marshall 4x12 cab selected. You do that by controlling that parameter there. And then once you've selected the 4x12 for the higher gain sound, then we come down and then using the snapshot adjuster, we are changing the mix here from a 14% up until 30% to make sure those delay signals or echoes or repeats are far more present on our high gain sound. So if you have any questions about today's tutorial, let me know in the comments below, and make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons to support the channel. If you'd like to learn more about my latest online course, you can follow the links below to learn about the high point music guitar fundamentals program and begin mastering the fundamental skill sets of contemporary guitar to begin setting your playing apart. And lastly, if you'd like to become a member of the channel and help us pump out more content like this video, you can follow the links below and sign up on Patreon. My name is Ryan White. Thank you very, very much for watching. I look forward to catching up with you all in the next video.